All right. So, let's see. I think we're live now. um, I'd have to. Oh, whoa. Yeah, we're live. That is incredible. All right. Hello and welcome to the first live episode, streamed episode of the Matthew Schreiner podcast. I apologize. I've got my iPad here connected to my Mac that extends the screen, and I've got my platform up here. So, um, as you can tell by the title, this is kind of like a normal podcast episode where we're going to look at something, and I've got an article up here today from the National Catholic Register. That's the um, thumbnail for this video. This is a streamed video, of course, the first one I've ever done here. I had a couple ideas for a streamed video, and today I actually said I wasn't going to do a video, and here I am doing two of them. So I guess I wasn't doing a video, I was doing two. So, two for one deal. The video I recorded this afternoon and then went up straight away was a video on Charlie Kirk. But this video is a little different, of course. I will have a Free For All Friday video up tomorrow. I'm going to record that tonight and have it all done. But I'm assuming this video is going to take about an hour, half an hour probably, more like. There's a couple of things I wanted to talk about that I'll do live videos eventually, and you'll see more of these videos. But I'm just experimenting here, so I'm going to pull up on my phone. There we go. Sorry, I had Spotify up open on my phone. Um, I was taking a bike ride, and in regards to the topic today, something came up from Reddit on a r/trans Christianity. I can't make that stuff up. I actually saw this and it said, "Still praying for a clear sign about transition." Now, I don't read this Reddit. I haven't looked at Reddit in a long time. But anyways, uh, let's see. I'm pulling up YouTube right now just to get a look at something. I was watching Trent Horn's video, and same with what is his name? Shameless Popery, Joe Heschmeyer. Yeah, I mentioned him in the last episode. That was a full episode. Um, so, and without further ado, okay. So here we are. Here's my screen. I didn't crop it or anything. Yes, I usually do have a lot of windows open on here. But let's take a look at this. So this is an article from the National Catholic Register, one of the better Catholic news sources. Are mental illnesses being missed behind the mask of gender dysphoria? And this is in regards to the recent school shooting that happened in, forgot to stop my exercise for the bike ride that I was just on before I recorded this, that recently happened in Minneapolis that I mentioned in the previous episode about anti-Catholic hate. The perpetrator, or the person who did the shooting at the Minneapolis school, was a transgender individual, and we'll read on about this, but are mental illnesses being missed behind the mask of gender dysphoria? And I mentioned previously that I have kind of this hunch that it wasn't just mental illness, because obviously this person did have some mental issues, and I'm not just saying because of gender dysphoria. I am saying because they had well planned out this plan for the shooting. They had all these things, and you can read their notebook. It's quite disturbing stuff, but they also had a drawing of themselves talking in the mirror or something, just talking with a demon, and they wrote all their notes in like Russian, but it was English. It's weird. Anyways, an increased number of parents are now coming forward to share their stories of the harm done to their children by specialists in gender affirming care. And this is an article by, oh, here it is, Zelda Caldwell. Not much is written on her in the bottom, just that she is a writer for NCR, National Catholic Register, because there's also National Catholic something else that's also NCR, but we're talking National Catholic Register, which I've done several things before, and they're a decent news source. So here we go. Zelda Caldwell. Zelda Caldwell is a senior writer at the National Catholic Register based in D.C. Comments. Let's look at, I'm curious about the comments. I didn't know you had accounts on here. So this is okay. Well, I'm not. I don't feel like reading this, but reading the comments. But let's read through the NCR article. Okay, the shooting at Annunciation Catholic Church in Minneapolis, carried out by a biological male who identified as female, raises serious questions, according to experts, about whether struggling young people are being given gender affirming care while their real psychological needs remain unaddressed. So basically, the point of these experts is that are we looking at the main issue? Is it truly transgenderism or is it something else? So I'm gonna cut off my screen for a second and I'm gonna find a YouTube video I saw recently about the downfall of transgender ideology. I can't spell. Um, I think I'm gonna do like a video at some point on Downton Abbey, the new movie. I just saw something about that because I was typing down and Downton Abbey came up. But either a Free For All Friday or another stream just to talk about it. It'll be a one with spoilers. I just have to warn. All right. Anyways, so here we are. Cut off my thing. So it was this video here. What killed the transgender movement? I have my audio off here. Of course, I don't have my computer volume down. But Culver's ad. Nothing more Midwest than a Culver's ad. Okay, so here we go. This was an interesting video. I enjoyed this one, but he mentions here, and I think I'll talk about this video in a later one. I want to continue doing the series on do we live in an anti-Catholic world, and that's one of the videos I want to discuss, and then something else I saw on Facebook. But one of the points he makes here is about, you know, a lot of times it is like a social thing that people are kind of like, I'm not going to say forced into it, but they're kind of peer pressured into it in a way. So while officials have not confirmed whether Robert Westman, who identified as Robin Westman, had undergone any medical procedures to alter his physical appearance, he reportedly expressed regret about his gender transition shortly before killing 2 children and injuring 21 others before shooting himself. And I want you to look at this closely. He regretted this decision, and I think that's quite interesting. Mary Rice Hasten, a scholar with the Ethics and Public Policy Center, or EPPC, told the Register that mental illness is often left untreated with gender-affirming care. That's something quite interesting, that the concern here for them is just, I'm going to say, it can be like a mental illness in a way, where you just don't feel like you're in the right body. And Trent Horn talks about this too, in regards to it being similar to other things we regard as mental illnesses. Once an adolescent is on the sex-rejecting or gender transitioning pathway, gender-affirming mental health professionals stop exploring any other underlying psychological issues. And I think that is a big issue, that we're just avoiding the things that truly matter, the human psychology and such that goes with it. Mental health professionals, said Hassan, who recently received the Cross Pro Ecclesia et Pontifice from Pope Leo XIV, ordered for dedication to the Catholic Church by laypeople and clergy. An increasing number of parents are now coming forward to share their stories of the harm done to their children by specialists in gender-affirming care. So there's a case here. I'm going to read the first part, and then we're going to look at each of the little sections under it. Elvira Said, at a hearing held by the Federal Trade Commission on July 9th, shared the tragic story of her daughter Eileen, who died by suicide at the age of 17. Eileen, her mother said, was a young woman silently battling anxiety, depression, trauma, and self-harm. During the pandemic, Said said her daughter spent too much time online and one day declared that she was transgender. I just want you to let that sink in. I mean, that just sounds like something out of a sci-fi novel. I mean, you gotta be kidding me. And I haven't read this article either. Spent too much time online and one day declared that she was transgender. That's almost kind of something that people joke, you know. you're gonna go to a public school, and one day your kids are just gonna come home transgender. Then that's kind of the thing the liberals will say. Do Republicans truly believe that? And then they talk about it here, how that's kind of like a peer pressure from the internet and even from friend groups to do these kind of things. So, anyways, she began seeing a therapist who immediately affirmed her identity, no questions asked. And that's what they point out here about schools, that the schools started doing things without the parents' permission and such. You can check out this video. I don't know if I've watched it all the way through, but it is a decently interesting video. Also, check out Trent Horn. He's got a whole bunch of stuff on transgenderism, and his videos are really good. I think I've watched a decent number of his videos, so no effort to understand her trauma or mental health, no curiosity about why this identity emerged so suddenly. Eileen was admitted. Tongue twister. Eileen was administered testosterone each week before she was discovered dead of an overdose of Benadryl, according to Saeed. Also, I apologize if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Testosterone can increase aggression, emotional numbness, and suicidal thoughts, especially in a vulnerable, unstable teen, but no one stopped to ask if it was safe. And I just want you to let that sink in. Alright. Eileen Saeed's case is far from an anomaly. These children, more often than not, have a variety of mental health issues. Many of them are on the autism spectrum. They have anxiety, depression, a history of trauma, a history of harming themselves, even history possibly of psychosis, Grossman said. Interestingly enough, actually no, I'm going to leave that for another day. Once a child or teen announces that he or she believes he or she is born in the wrong body, instead of receiving psychiatric care, they are often referred to specialists offering medical interventions to make the person appear to be a member of the opposite sex. So, our problem here really isn't you feel like you're trapped in the wrong body, and that's something to... But the problem is that often, as it says here, these are in regards to other mental health issues that should be explored, and that shouldn't just be, oh, well, you feel you're in the wrong body. We need to affirm this. So, incorrect model of care. That means puberty blockers followed by cross-sex hormones, which can permanently deepen girls' voice, cause male pattern baldness, and even infertility, as well as so-called top surgery. I forget I'm not recording a podcast episode, so I can make the quotes, and you can actually see that. Top surgery involving surgical removal of a girl's breasts and male castration are often the next step in gender-affirming care. And it's just... And you can see some cases where people have tried to detransition, and there's a couple of them online that you can look up. Grossman puts the blame on medical professional organizations such as the APA. In 2023, the APA published a new guide titled Gender Affirming Psychiatric Care, which explicitly stated that patients should be affirmed in whatever gender they are, even I can't read today, I apologize. That patients should be affirmed in whatever gender they feel they are, even if they are facing serious mental issues. Just to repeat myself like a broken record, let that sink in. How you feel trumps the truth of any mental illness you might have. Psychosis alone is not a contradiction to gender-affirming services, the author of the APA wrote. The APA and other medical professional associations also support gender-affirming care for children and teens, have abandoned evidence-based medicine for gender ideology, according to Grossman. The belief that an individual's feelings or inner experience prompts the reality of their sexed body and their biological reality of their bodies is a radical idea. It is not a medically based notion. It has no basis in science. I think I talked about that in a previous episode. I talked about the fact that transgender ideology and stuff has little basis in science, little basis in that, and other Catholic apologists such as Trent Horn and others have said such things. I'm going to see if I have... I apologize. My screen is a little screwed up today. Um, let's see. I think it um, was it this video or was it the modesty video that I mentioned it, or was it the? I think it was the Gen Z sexer session that I mentioned it. Oh, and am I wearing? I think I'm wearing my Dub Hope shirt in this episode. So, but yeah, I mentioned it in this episode, I believe. Yeah, that's the one that makes the most sense. What happens in the gender affirming care model is that the oof, comma. I can't read today. Oh dear. The simultane this I can't read. Simultaneously occurring mental disorders that exist are pushed to the side and gender is the focus. So that's the whole point here. Lack of concern, um, and the foregone conclusion. Bitsky told the register that she fears that parents are not aware that once a child enters a gender clinic, a medical okay. Oh, this is why I record most videos in scriptum because I just can't read. um, I mean I can, but I'm just having trouble doing it today. Pitsky told the register that she fears that parents are not aware that once a child enters a gender clinic, a medical transition is virtually a foregone conclusion. It's an assembly line where anyone who dares ask any questions is discounted and shamed for being transphobic. And parents don't know this. They think they can trust the therapist, and much of the time they cannot. Again, this video is very interesting. Check it out. But yeah, I plan on doing a video continuing the series of Do We Live in an Anti-Catholic World, talking about different issues that seem to be anti-Catholic, and that will be full podcast episodes coming in the future. Episode 73 is going to be an episode just looking at I can't even recall what I'm looking at now. Actually, it might have been a continued episode about do we live in an anti-Catholic society. I don't even know. Let me pull up my script. Yeah, let me pull up my script. So, I can't see the YouTube chat here. That's nice. Let's see. Let's pull up the script. Oh, yeah. Um, oh, yeah, this was an episode about Carlo Acutis and a liberal or progressive um, liturgist who was complaining that Carlo Acutis's points were too quote unquote childish. I believe it was said. Oh, pardon me. Hit a hiccup there. So that will be a future episode on the Matthew Schreiner podcast talking about that. So that was the next episode, was a look at that. So that is pretty much what I wanted to draw your attention to, was this NC article. And there's more. If you want to read this article, I can probably drop it in the description of this video. Yeah, let's see, I can drop it here in the video details. So if you want to read that, it's there now. I just was able to edit it here on my laptop. So what's the main lesson here? Basically, what I wanted to draw your attention to was this article, and also the sad reality of gender affirming care, that it is dangerous to our society, because scientifically here we have research that said, yeah, this isn't good. This is not good. Um, it's masking behind it true problems of mental illness and such, and it's just pushing them off to the side, and that's unfortunate. And we live in a society where, You're supposed to talk about mental health. You're supposed to care and have care and concern about this. So, oh, I misspelled the title of this video. Are mental illnesses hidden? And I only put one D behind gender ideology. So, and that's not a fair title. That's certainly not a fair title for this video, but I think you get the point. Mental illnesses can be hidden behind this gender ideology because, or at least transgender ideology, that it is putting behind it this idea that you're who you think you are is good, and that you can't, you need to avoid that things like these mental issues are being pushed to the side and being ignored. Um, I do have a book that I was told about called what's it called now? Uh, let me see if I can pull it up. Um, here on my laptop. Yeah, here it is. It's a book I was recommended by someone who works in the medical profession. It's called The Anxious Generation. Out now, The Anxious Generation: How the Great Rewiring of Childhood is Causing an Epidemic of Mental Illness. Again, check out this video here I shared. Check out Trent Horn's videos about transgender ideology. Read the article if you want to, but here we go. All about. I have yet to read this book. I've been reading a whole lot of other books. I do book reviews on my website. Let me pull up my website for you. I know I've been jumping back and forth. As time goes on, things will get improved. I'll have stuff with that where it will look better. So let me just, here we go. So yeah, I did the most recent book I read. I did a book review here. And then the next book I'm reading, I'm almost finished with that book, so be expecting a review of the book. I also want to do something about Downton Abbey here on video or on podcast, so just be aware that, and that'll probably come out next week because I don't want to give spoilers because I actually was able to see it early. I saw it yesterday, and it's not coming out until tomorrow. But I was able to see it early because my mom was just really excited. She's loved this series. I don't post much here on my blog here. Most of the stuff really is only on Twitter or on YouTube. So if you want to see stuff, Twitter or YouTube, my website. I even just forget to update my video here. I updated it today, but sometimes I just forget about it. So your best bet is just to go to my YouTube or Spotify. Spotify and YouTube are the two places I post all the time. But yeah, check out my blog here. I don't do as much about the readings anymore, the Sunday Gospel and stuff, but I did do one for Peter and Paul. Um, and then book review. Obviously, the book reviews are something I'm doing. I will be doing that as often as possible. The next book I will be looking at is written here, Courtship of the Saints, and I am almost done reading that one. So, my website, MatthewShriner.com. Check it out. I website is 100% designed, updated, and edited by me. Same with all my social media and stuff because there's just there's not much to it. So for me at least right now. But that's it for today. Yeah, and soon enough there will be another episode. But I just wanted to point this out. This article from the NCR. So truly good, wonderful source. So well, that's it for today. This was the first stream. God bless, and I will see you next time. Or hear you tomorrow if you're watching my Freefall Friday.